President Trump has said that his philosophy is America first. And you could make a case that America first is what every country does, just change the front pronoun of the name of this country. For President Macron, it's got to be France first. For England, it's got to be, Boris Johnson's going to say England first, and so forth. So what's different about this? Isn't this just the way it is? And the answer is that what matters is not whether a statesman is acting in the national interest. In democracies, that's what they're elected to do. The question is, how are they defining the national interest? How do you define what is America first? So it's not that you say national interest in America first, but how do you define it? And what does it lead to in terms of actions? Let me give you a simple example. Right now, there's a great debate that many people are engaged in about various forms of populism and the argument that we have a world that's divided between rootless cosmopolitan globalists and real American nationalists. And if you think I'm giving you a caricature, just look at the speeches of Steve Bannon, who was close to Trump, or listen to some of the things you'll hear at a Trump rally. The problem with that is that it misrepresents who we are as Americans, but also as human beings. The evolutionary biologists will tell you that the humans have evolved as a species by being capable of altruism. Doesn't mean we're always altruistic, but the fact that we are concerned about each other sometimes allows us to organize and to do collective actions that, let's say, a group of giraffes or polar bears or lions don't do as a species. Now, we also do terrible things, but that ability to pull together into larger groups does depend on this ability to have altruism and sympathy and moral feelings toward each other. And just to give you a very homely, simple example to illustrate this, it means that this view that we're either or, you're either a nationalist or a cosmopolitan, is not what we are. We are capable of having feelings toward others at the same time that we have national feelings. And you might think of it as a set of concentric circles of community rather than a sharp dividing line. So if you were at the beach some nice summer afternoon, reading a good book, say mine, and you were at a very exciting chapter and you wanted to finish it, and you heard somebody cry, "Help, help," out in the surf, and you said, "Oh no, I want to finish the chapter." Of course not. You'd put the book down, you'd go and try to save the person. But suppose they didn't cry out, "Help, help," but said, "Ayúdame, ayúdame." Would you say, foreigner, I can finish the chapter? Of course not. You would put down the book and try to help them. And the point is that it's not the nationality, it's the common humanity there. So in that sense, almost all of us are cosmopolitan as well as national. Now, there are limits on that, however. Suppose you're reading the book and you hear cries for help, and out in the surf 20 yards out are two children, and one of them is yours. Would you flip a coin if you knew you could only save one as to which one you tried to save? No. You would try to save your own because there are another set of moral duties and obligations that go with the role of parent. And in that sense, the child has expectations from you and you have moral duties to them. So in that sense, we have these concentric circles of community and our moral obligations vary, but they're not exclusive. We can still say, yes, I have a duty to my child, to my fellow nationals, but it doesn't prevent me from helping those who are not my children or my fellow nationals. And this whole question of America first just strikes me as a travesty in terms of describing what we are as human beings or as Americans. So the question is not, should America be put first? A democratically elected president should put America first, but he should not define America narrowly. And that is where we find the big differences. And what I try to show in these studies of the 14 presidents since 1945 is many of the early presidents, what I call the founders of this post-45 era, defined American interests in a very broad sense, included providing public goods to allies and developing international institutions. So it wasn't, they thought it was in America's interest, and it was, but it wasn't in a myopic view of America's interest. It was in a broad view of America's interest. And I think that's one of the sad comments about today. Still, there are questions about whether what we see today is unprecedented in American history. And the answer, which I cite Maggie Haberman, the New York Times journalist who has studied President Trump since he was in New York, she said, once told me, President Trump is not unique, he's just extreme. And that is essentially a way of saying that you can look back in American history at these other presidents and find some things that are very similar. The difference is the degree and the quantity.